when a billionaire insulted the maid. Her brave daughter taught him a lesson he'll never forget. The ballroom fell silent. Dozens of rich guests froze mid-sip as the sharp sound of a slap cracked through the air. The billionaire stood still, his face turned slightly to the side, one cheek burning red. The maid's daughter, barely in her 20s, stood before him, her hand still trembling from the strike. Her eyes glistened with tears, but they burned with fire no one in that room had ever seen. Gasps echoed around them. Some guests covered their mouths. Others whispered in disbelief. No one had ever dared touch him, especially not a maid's child. The billionaire slowly turned his head, his cold eyes locking on hers. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," he said, his voice low and sharp like broken glass. The young woman's mother, the maid, stood at the edge of the hall, shaking, clutching her apron with trembling hands. "Please, sir," she mean. "Quiet," he barked, slamming his glass onto a table. Red wine spilled across the white cloth like blood. But the daughter didn't back down. "You don't get to speak to my mother like she's trash," she said, her voice cracking but brave. "You can fire her, insult me, do whatever you want, but you will not humiliate her again." Every eye in the room was on them. The billionaire's jaw tightened. Guests leaned closer, sensing something explosive was about to happen. He took a step toward her. "You think you can teach me respect?" he hissed. "You will regret this moment for the rest of your life." The daughter's heart raced, but she didn't move. And then he smiled, a slow, dangerous smile that made everyone uneasy. Because behind that smile was a plan. The party ended in chaos. Guests whispered and slipped out one by one, afraid to be seen taking sides. The billionaire didn't speak another word. He simply pointed at the maid and her daughter and said coldly, "Both of you, out, now." Security escorted them through the grand hallway, their heels clicking on marble floors that suddenly felt like ice. The maid sobbed quietly, begging for forgiveness, but her daughter held her chin high, eyes burning with silent fury. Outside, the night air hit them hard. The mansion's golden lights glowed behind them like a cruel reminder of the world they didn't belong to. The daughter wrapped her arm around her trembling mother. "Don't cry, Mom. He can take your job, but he can't take your dignity." But inside the mansion, the billionaire wasn't done. He stared at his reflection in a tall mirror, touching the faint mark on his cheek. No one had ever dared to touch him, not in business, not in life. His pride burned hotter than the sting of her slap. "Find out everything about that girl," he told his assistant. "Where she lives, where she works, what she wants. I'll make sure she remembers this night forever." The next morning, the maid's daughter woke up to find her mother sitting at the edge of the bed, holding a letter with shaking hands. "He made sure no one in town will hire me again," her mother whispered. "They said I'd been blacklisted." Her heart sank. They had no savings, no family nearby, nothing but each other. Still, she clenched her fists and said softly, "Then I'll make him see what happens when you break good people." That night, she walked the city, alone, her mind racing with a dangerous plan. Because if the billionaire wanted a lesson, she was ready to teach him one he'd never forget. The city lights flickered like tiny stars as she stood in front of the tall glass building with the billionaire's name shining across it. It was the headquarters of his empire, a place built on power, money, and arrogance. She had spent the entire night thinking, crying, planning, and now, as the sun rose, she walked through the revolving doors with calm determination. "I need to see Mr. Davis," she told the receptionist firmly. The woman behind the desk looked at her from head to toe, the cheap shoes, the faded jacket. But before she could speak, the daughter held out a small folder. Inside were documents, photos, screenshots, things no one had ever dared to show. Because while her mother worked as a maid in his mansion, she had seen and heard everything. The fake charity donations, the hidden bank accounts, the secret deals made to cheat workers out of their pay. The daughter had spent months collecting evidence quietly, thinking she might one day expose it. That day had come. Security led her upstairs to his office. The billionaire looked up when she walked in, shocked but amused. "You again," he said with a smirk. "Here to apologize?" She placed the folder on his desk. "No," she said quietly. "I'm here to give you a choice." He frowned, flipping through the pages, and his face changed. The color drained from it. "If these go public," she continued, "you'll lose everything. The media, your investors, your reputation. But I'll make you a deal." He leaned back, forcing a laugh. "A deal? From you? Reinstate my mother. Publicly apologize to her. Treat your staff like humans. Or the world sees who you really are." For the first time in his life, the billionaire didn't have a comeback. His silence filled the room like thunder before a storm. Then, slowly, he reached for his phone. The billionaire's hand hovered over his phone. His confident smirk was gone, replaced by something no one had ever seen on his face before: fear. "You have no idea what you're doing," he finally said, his voice lower now. "Do you think you can threaten me and walk away?" The daughter didn't flinch. "I'm not threatening you," she said softly. "I'm reminding you that people like my mother built your empire. Without them, you're nothing." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then he pressed a button on his phone. 2 guards entered instantly. "Escort her out," he ordered coldly, "and destroy that folder." The guards moved toward her, but before they could grab it, she pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. A small red light blinked. "Too late," she said. "Everything's already backed up online. If anything happens to me or my mom, it all goes live." The guard stopped. The billionaire froze. He knew she wasn't bluffing. "You're playing a dangerous game," he muttered. "So are you," she replied. He dismissed the guards with a wave of his hand. "Fine," he said. "You win for now. But don't think you can walk away untouched." She turned to leave, but his next words made her stop. "Tell your mother to enjoy her job while it lasts. Because when I strike back, I won't aim for her. I'll aim for you." Her pulse quickened, but she forced a steady breath. "Do what you have to do," she said. "But remember, you started this." She walked out of the building with her heart pounding and her mind racing. He wasn't beaten. Not yet. And she knew powerful men like him didn't lose quietly. Back in his office, the billionaire poured himself a drink, staring out the window at the skyline. His reflection looked different, shaken, furious. "She wants to play hero," he whispered. "Then let's see how brave she really is." He picked up the phone and made a single call. "Follow her. Find out everyone she cares about. I want leverage." And as she returned home, thinking she'd finally won, someone was already watching her from across the street. For 2 days, everything seemed calm. The maid's daughter thought the storm was over. Her mother had her job back. The billionaire had gone silent, and life slowly began to feel normal again. But she was wrong. Late one evening, she noticed a black car parked across the street. It was there again the next morning, and again that night. Her gut twisted. She knew exactly who sent them. Still, she went on with her plan. She wasn't finished yet. That afternoon, she walked into a crowded press conference downtown. Reporters filled the hall, waiting for the billionaire to announce a new charity project. One meant to repair his image after the scandal. Cameras flashed as he stepped onto stage, his voice calm and polished. "We believe in kindness and respect for every worker." The big screen behind him flickered. His assistant frowned. The billionaire's face froze mid-sentence. Then, to everyone's shock, videos began to play, hidden recordings of him shouting at employees, mocking his staff, laughing as he talked about poor people. Every dirty secret she had gathered now filled the screen for the world to see. Gasps filled the room. Reporters leapt to their feet. His investors, sitting in the front row, looked horrified. "Turn it off," he shouted, but it was too late. The daughter stepped forward, standing near the crowd. "This," she said loudly, "is how he treats those who serve him. My mother, my people, every person he thought was too small to matter." Security rushed toward her, but the audience blocked them, cheering her courage. The billionaire stumbled back, pale, realizing the truth. His empire, his power, his pride was collapsing before his eyes. Later that night, as cameras replayed the scandal across every news channel, the maid and her daughter sat quietly on their small porch. Her mother held her hand, tears in her eyes. You shouldn't have risked so much for me, the mother whispered. She smiled gently. You taught me to stand up for what's right. I just learned to do it loudly. Across town, the billionaire sat alone in his mansion, the same one that once buzzed with parties and power. Now it was silent. He stared at the mirror again, this time not at his reflection, but at the emptiness behind it. For the first time, he understood the weight of the words she'd said that night. You can fire her, insult me, do whatever you want, but you will not humiliate her again. And that was the moment the billionaire finally learned a lesson he'd never forget.